Texoma's #1 rated newscast, broadcasting live from 12 studios. This is News 12 at 6 p.m.
Well, good evening. Welcome to News 12 at 6. I'm Dan Thomas. We start with the news about Ezekiel Elliott, now no longer allowed to be at the Cowboys training facility after a federal appeals court overturned a decision by a Sherman federal judge. Let's get right over to our own Jeremy Thomas, now live in the studio. Jeremy, what's Elliott's legal team expected to do now?
Yeah, Dan, Ezekiel Elliott's camp is likely to challenge today's ruling, so the case may not be over just yet. But the decision by a federal appeals court to lift Judge Amos Mazant's ruling in Sherman a month ago now clears the way for Elliott's 6-game suspension from the NFL over domestic violence allegations to take place. So coming up a little later in sports, we'll discuss when Elliott's suspension could take effect. So reporting live in studio, I'm Jeremy Thomas.
All right, thanks, Jeremy. Well, a huge entertainment center and retail complex announced today for South Sherman. Now, if that sounds familiar, it's because the exact same plan was announced last month for Denison. This time, though, construction's already begun in Sherman. Let's get out to News 12's Kristen Weaver live there at where the complex will be built. Now, Kristen, what's the new plan?
Yeah, Dan, last week Sherman announced it would be building a huge retail center right here on 1417 and US 75, and Mark Schulman will be the developer. But in Denison, at that point, he was also heading a nice entertainment center right up the street. However, today that all changed when he announced he'll actually be building his Movie Bowl Grill right here in Sherman.
Didn't think it'd move that quick, but it did, so it was great.
4 weeks ago, City Manager Robbie Hefton contacted Mark Schulman about 22 acres of city-owned property off 1417 and US 75.
The complex that he builds is first class. The building materials, the design, the color schemes, the detail that he puts into it is first class.
It's a plan Schulman said last month he was going to do in Denison. He says he still has plans to develop something there, but didn't say what or when.
Our focus is the Sherman project. That's what we're here discussing, and we've partnered with them. So our energy on the entertainment retail development here is going forward. At the same time, our retail development is going forward there.
The Sherman site will have a hotel, convention center, shops, bowling, 8 dine-in movie theaters, an arcade, and other possibilities.
Climbing walls, laser tag, interactive amusements, 3D visual amusements and games. You have a full service on-site, off-site catering, restaurant, everything that helps support the vision of Sherman and what they're trying to attract.
The agreement gives him a cash grant of 50% of the sales tax generated over 7 years, capped at $1.5 million.
As he generates money, we will just share a portion of those revenues with him.
Schulman plans to invest $25 to $35 million and bring in hundreds of jobs.
I believe it's going to be a destination for Grayson County and for surrounding counties.
Well, that project is expected to be completed in 15 to 18 months. That means they plan to have it open by winter 2018. Live in Sherman, Kristen Weaver, News 12.
Well, someone stole hundreds of dollars worth of donations from a charity that gives things away for free to people in need. News 12's Sarah Humphrey is live there. Sarah, what all did the thief get away with?
Dan, instead of taking the expensive items out of the shed, the burglar got away with a TV, dog food, costumes, and wigs. Shared Ministries in Sherman is a food bank that helps people in need.
God called me to do this. This is my calling, to help people who are in need of food.
On Wednesday, a volunteer went to get items out of the shed and noticed the lock was broken.
We had Mr. Bill's costumes stored in this suitcase, and it was wide open, spread open, and they took everything but 2 wigs.
Warehouse manager Gene Hartless says the costumes are used by volunteer Bill Whitehead to entertain people, but the crook also took dog food and a TV, but left behind the TV's remote.
They didn't take some of the other stuff that was a lot more expensive, which is odd.
Volunteers are puzzled by the theft because the ministry usually gives things away for free.
We try to help people and give them and supply them that which God has given us. So, lots of times they wouldn't have to steal. We would be able to help them out.
Heartless doesn't know who broke into the shed.
It's shocking, but, they must have needed it worse than we did.
But she wants them to return what they took.
I'm sure the dog already ate most of the dog food, but the TV and Mr. Bill's costumes, please bring back.
The ministry says they plan to buy security cameras in case this happens again. Police say to give them a call if you know anything about this crime. Live in Sherman, Sarah Humphrey, News 12.
All right, thanks, Sarah. Well, a Sherman man, listen to this one. He's accused of beating a kitten and leaving it for dead in a trash can. 31-year-old Cristano Barella Luis was arrested for the alleged crime in July. He got indicted yesterday. Documents state that Barella Luis forced his way into his ex-wife's home on West Cherry Street while arguing with her, then picked up the kitten, twisted its neck, threw it across the room, then stomped on it. The kitten was later euthanized. Well, a woman accused of cutting another woman outside the Sherman VFW got 5 years probation. Deameta Hagood pleaded guilty to slashing another woman across the face with a knife during an argument in June. That woman had to get stitches at the hospital. And Sherman police want your help identifying 3 people accused of passing fake money. Take a good look at your screen right here. Police say these 2 people and another man paid for items at a garage sale with counterfeit bills. Officers say they also tried to use the fake money at a Dairy Queen and the Goodwill last week. Suspects were seen in a white 4-door car with black wheels. If you know who they are, call Sherman Police. All right, time to get a check on weather here. Warming trend began last night, full swing right now. Let's check in with Tom Hale, breaking it all down for us. Tom, what's it going to be like tonight?
Well, it's going to be much nicer than it was earlier today, although I kind of like the cooler temperatures. Here's where we were yesterday at this time, 24 hours ago, sitting around 70 to 75 degrees. And now we are at least 12 degrees warmer with southerly winds. That's your first indication. Plus, with those southerly winds, temperatures are going to fall slower. So the winds will keep up 5 to 10 miles an hour tonight, keeping the warmer air coming our direction. So we'll be at 70 degrees at 9 o'clock and 64 degrees, almost 10 degrees warmer by the time we start the day, and we'll be up to a balmy 84 degrees. And then we've got warmer weather as we head into the weekend, stopped abruptly by a cold front. We'll talk about that in just a minute.
All right, thanks, Tom. Well, if you're headed into Durant, you're going to be stopped briefly by a new traffic light. Signals were put up were in South 9th and the Big Lots Boulevard. That's near Choctaw Casino and Highway 70. Well, from Norman to Dallas, a brief stop in Texoma, the trip that brings the official game ball to the Red River Showdown. And the latest on Ezekiel Elliott's suspension, when it might take effect and what he could do about it.
From the Weather Authority, here's Tom Hale.
Yesterday it was warm in the sun. Today it was just flat out warm. In fact, felt really good in the sun today as temperatures pushed up into the 80s. Time lapse shows you that we only had just a few bugs in front of the tower cam, and we're looking due north, and we're starting to see a little bit of color in the sky. That's because the air is still dry out there as we get ready for a beautiful sunset. Now, if you're going to go out on the lake this evening and you fall overboard, hopefully you've got something on if you can't swim, but the water's not going to be all that bad. It's 78 degrees now, and we're looking for a sunrise tomorrow at 7:30 in the morning. Generation going on for 24 hours a day, so fishing outside of where the generation downstream, you're going to have a good shot at things at 9 o'clock in the morning and again at 10 o'clock. Fish and Game Report brought to our friends at Sherman Collision Repair. So not all that bad for tomorrow. We're going to be looking at temperatures even warmer than today. Winds coming up out of the south, and of course overnight that'll keep us warm. We're sitting around 81 to 83 degrees across Texoma, with winds up to about 10, a little bit higher out near Duncan and Ringling up to 13. But those winds will die down just a little bit, but still, because we have low pressure developing in the Rockies, well, we're going to continue to see winds streaming northward. That'll slow down our progression. Plus, we've got the beginning of Gulf moisture moving its way back in. That'll provide the fuel for some showers showers. Now, high pressure and then the upper atmosphere is spinning right over Lufkin, and you can see them right here. The moisture in the atmosphere, the center of the high is dry, and then out to the north and the west, our next trough of low pressure is moving in, which will intensify this low that's hanging out around the Colorado Rockies and tailing its way back into New Mexico. Now, that low, as we go through Friday and into Saturday, is going to move off to the north and the east, but the cold front behind it and the big high pressure system being driven in is going to bring us to a cold and windy Sunday. And of course, Saturday and Friday, we're going to be pushing that 90-degree mark. So here's what we're going to be looking at. At 6 o'clock on Saturday, the front is still up to our north, but overnight, as we go in about midnight, we'll start to see some showers move their way through. Nothing severe, but we will have some periods of heavy rain. As it pushes its way on through in the morning hours, you'll hear that rain and that thunder. Kind of good sleeping weather if you like that. And then by morning, we'll start to clear out, but we'll be windy, winds swinging around to the north, and they'll be gusting up to 25 to 35 miles an hour, which by afternoon, as skies clear, will be great Sunday kite flying weather, but it will be a little bit cold. We'll be struggling to make its way up to 70 degrees. Most of us will be in the mid-60s. Of course, that's what it's going to feel like tomorrow morning when we start out, but as we go into the afternoon, we'll be pushing that 89-degree mark, give or take. We'll call it an average of 88 degrees after a morning low of 64 up to 88. And the winds, you'll notice them from the south up to an average of 17 miles an hour and a few puffy little fair weather clouds mixed in. Same story on Saturday, same temperature or a degree warmer, but windier on Saturday. You could fly kites on Saturday, then wait for everything to end. Heaviest chance overnight into the early morning hours, and the rest of Sunday looking good. And then a string of temperatures in the 70s all the way through the middle of next week as we take a look at morning low temperatures as cold as 43 degrees on Tuesday morning. So we're going to have some nice cold 40s again. You know, bugs pretty much disappear at about 42 degrees.
Is that right?
Yes. After 42 degrees, they can't move, and it kind of locks them up. And same thing for us. If you dipped us in water for 42 degrees for a period of time, our muscles
could understand that.
Yeah. And so that's a good sign. And also, it's just going to be nice fall weather. But we've got to make it through 2 more hot days. Now, you like those hot days.
Yeah, bring them on. Yeah, as many as we can get, right?
I hear you.
All right, I can do without the bugs, though. We need to figure out a way to have both.
Both, hot and buggy, or non-buggy.
And non-buggy, yeah, that's right. Thanks, Tom. Well, the Red River Showdown fast approaching, and so are the official game balls, the tradition that brings OU's ball right through Texoma. Well, while many OU and UT fans are gearing up for the big game on Saturday, their school's ROTC units are busy getting the game balls down to Dallas. News 12's Elena Mendoza is live in the studio. Now, Elena, you were there when they handed off the balls.
Yeah, Dan, it's a tradition ahead of the Red River Showdown that's more than 2 decades old. Today, I caught up with the OU Naval ROTC in Whitesboro about this year's journey to deliver the ball, one member calling it an honor.
Nearly 200 miles, 2 days, and 44 runners.
Literally run the ball.
That's what it takes for the OU Naval ROTC unit to deliver the game ball to the Red River Showdown.
I know everybody has a great time doing it. It's fun to get out here and, kind of get away from the stress of school and the stress of, just everyday life as a college student.
It's a journey they always start on the Wednesday before the game. Senior Cole Watson says it's his 4th year participating.
It's tiring, but, it's one of those traditions that we've had at our unit for a really long time, and you push through it, and then you focus on the end goal.
Watson says they're all assigned to 6 to 7 hour shifts and split the miles among the members.
We'll stop every once in a while to get a break, bathroom break, whatever we need to do, but we're basically out here running 24/7 until we get down to Dallas.
While they are running down to Dallas, the UT Naval ROTC unit is running up.
Done it every year, so love it.
Senior Justin Keohoxa says they get a lot of support along the way.
It's really fun when we're running the ball and then you'll hear guys just honking and just boomer shooting and whatnot.
One of his favorite things about the tradition is the intramural flag football match they play the Friday before the game with the UT Naval ROTC unit.
There's a lot of trash talking between here then and now, but in the end, we're all one team,
Right before the kickoff on Saturday, the units will present the game balls to the head coaches.
We drive back. I'm not about to run back.
Boomer Sooner beat Texas.
The unit helps the United States Marine Corps Foundation with their annual Toys for Tots fundraiser, each member donating a toy before the run. Live in the studio, Elena Mendoza, News 12.
All right, what a great tradition. Thanks, Elena. And they only have to run one way. I guess that's a good thing.
That is a good thing, for
Yeah,
sure.
don't have to run back after the game.
No,
That'd
not at all.
A little bit too much of a... Well, I tell you, one person doesn't have to worry about running anytime soon. Ezekiel Elliott, huh? Or he's running to his attorney.
Well, it should be interesting what happens next, and that's something that we'll talk about coming up. A federal appeals court has lifted an injunction that blocked a 6-game suspension for Zeke, what that could mean for the Cowboys, and local softball teams in Oklahoma City today at the state tournament. Highlights are next.